Harlequin Special Releases and HarperAudio present Ian's Ultimate Gamble by Brenda Jackson. Performed by Jaime Lincoln Smith. Prologue. "I won't do it, Malcolm," Brooke Chamberlain said sharply as she absently pushed a dark brown dread that had fallen in her face back behind her ear. If she'd had any warning about the reason she'd been summoned to her boss's office, she would have found an excuse not to come. As far as she was concerned, what he was asking her to do was totally unreasonable. First, she had just come off one assignment involving a successful vineyard that had been caught producing more than wine, and second, he wanted her to go back out west and literally spy on the one man who hated her guts, Ian Westmoreland. Malcolm Price rubbed a frustrated hand down his face before saying, "Sit down, Brooke, and let me explain why I decided to give the assignment to you." Brooke gave an unladylike snort. As far as she was concerned, there was nothing to explain. Malcolm was more than just her boss. He was a good friend, and had been since their early days with the Bureau when he'd been a fellow agent. Because they had been good friends, he was one of the few people who knew of her past relationship with Ian, as well as the reason they had parted ways. "How can you, of all people, ask me to do that to Ian, Malcolm?" she said, pacing the room as she spoke, refusing to sit down. "Because if you don't, Walter Thurgood will be assigned to do it." She stopped moving. "Thurgood?" "Yes, and once he is, it will be out of my hands." Brooke sat down in the chair Malcolm had offered her earlier. Walter Thurgood, a hotshot upstart, had been with the Bureau for a couple of years. The man had big ambitions, and one was to be the top man at the FBI. After several assignments, he'd earned the reputation of being one of those agents who got the job done, although there were times when how he'd gone about it had been questionable. "And even if Ian Westmoreland is clean by the time Thurgood finishes with him, he'll make him seem like the dirtiest man on this planet if it makes Thurgood look good," Malcolm said with disgust in his voice. Brooke knew Malcolm was right, and she also knew what Malcolm wasn't saying, that when you were the son of someone already at the top, the people around you were less likely to slap your hand when you behaved improperly. "But if you think Ian is running a clean operation and you don't suspect him of anything, why the investigation?" she asked. "Only because the prior owner of the casino, Bruce Aiken, was found guilty of running an illegal betting operation there, and we don't want any of his old friends to come out from whatever rock they hid under during Aiken's trial and start things up again without Westmoreland's knowledge. So in a way, you'll be doing him a big favor." Brooke's gaze dropped from Malcolm's to study her hands, clenched in her lap. Ian would not see things that way, and they both knew it. It would only widen the mistrust between them. But still, she knew there was no way she could allow Thurgood to go in and handle things. It would be downright disastrous for Ian. She lifted her head and met Malcolm's gaze once again. "And this is not an official investigation?" "No. You'll be there for a much-needed vacation while keeping your eyes and ears open." She leaned forward as anger flared in her eyes. "Ian is one of the most honest men I know." "In that case, you don't have anything to worry about." She stared at Malcolm thoughtfully for a moment and then said, "Okay." Malcolm lifted a dark brow. "That means you're going to do it?" She narrowed her eyes. She was caught between a rock and a hard place, and they both knew it. "You knew I would." He nodded, and she saw another certainty in the depths of his dark blue eyes. The knowledge that 4 years after their breakup, she was still in love with Ian Westmoreland. Chapter 1. Ian Westmoreland sat at his desk, knee-deep in paperwork, when for no apparent reason he felt a quick tightening in his gut. He was a man who, by 33, had learned to trust his intuition as well as his analytical skills. He lifted his head to glance at the wood-paneled wall in front of him. He reached out, pressed a button, and watched as the paneling slid back to reveal a huge glass wall. The people on the other side, who were busy wandering through the casino, taking their chances at the slot machines, gambling tables, and arcades, had no idea they were being watched. In certain areas of the casino, they were being listened to as well. More than once, the security monitors had picked up conversations best left unheard. But when you operated a casino as large as the Rolling Cascade, the monitors and one-sided mirror were in place for security reasons. Not everyone who came to a
Sample complete. Ready to continue?